Hello. We're just gonna try a different solution here. I've plugged in my PS5 controller here, um, which is the only sort of solution that I can think about with audio. Hopefully this works. Um, yeah, not ideal. Yeah, Richards is I'm not expecting to play. Why would he come from the bench though, I guess is my thoughts. Sounding like your COD lobby? Yeah. Oh man. I don't know, like it's so funny because so obviously I have like an audio interfacing app and I can tell my microphone works, but it just doesn't work for OBS, which is great obviously for today's purpose. Play Sobo Ekitike. I just think because Ekitike's minutes, like I'm not sure about it. I would just play Sobo. You did Semenyo to Rice too early. Should you do Reinders to Tavernier? I'd probably do that move, yeah. Going back up a little bit with chat, first question was anonymous. Best Minte replacement for 6 million. Got free freeze. Could sell Saka slash Ekitike to accommodate for an early Palmer. Not skip on early Palmer. Um, I think just go Tavernier personally. Probably the best pick right now. Thank you, Jack. Appreciate it. I did have to change the audio. I mean, sorry, the timing. So I think I did adjust that Bobby Mo. I don't know if you were able to refresh, but yeah. Um, Nice to see you around, Anish. Nice to see you around um, LJ5US. You go to bench Ekitike more likely, so you do Potts to Rogers. You don't have to start Richard slash Anderson or Potts if I didn't do the move. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Um, Anderson seems okay this game week if we're talking about the midfielder. If we're talking about the forward, fair enough. Start Krupi ahead of Sabo, Ekitike, and Richards. Yeah, I'm all in favor of it. Nice to see you, Will. Fran, I accidentally. Oh, sorry, I did answer that question. No, yeah, a couple questions about the microphone. Um, Deadline 6:30. Mate, you are right. Why have I started the deadline stream so early? Is probably the real question. Um, I'm not going to adjust that for now, but Ekatike, we don't really have any news on, unfortunately. I also don't know why we can't have nice things with my audio, so it is what it is. Hong Kong or London to live. Uh, Chris Richards is back. He will not be able to start, but he was confident, so he will be available on the bench tomorrow. Okay, fine. I need to actually reevaluate that. Hmm. I don't know if I just trust that quote though. Like I don't really get too worried about stuff like that, but I mean, surely he plays something like 65 minutes, but I could just be wrong. Um, oh, that's annoying. I don't actually think that would be a dilemma for me, but yeah, I didn't get a chance to read the quotes because obviously I've been at work today. Mm, let me have a think about it. Is anybody else also like last benching Richards? His EV is not the same as Anderson. It's not remotely close actually. I think Richards, if he was starting this week, is far ahead of like every other player I have currently on my bench. Um, oh God, he literally said he will not be able to start. Sorry. Um, okay, fine. I mean, fine. Could he lie to me? I mean, I don't think Glasner's a liar, right? Man, that is kind of sad, but I guess yeah. I guess it has to be done. Fine. We have to play Anderson. Sobo over DK. That's a shame. That is a shame. I'm actually so sad about that. All right, super chats. Farbro Melker, thank you so much for your super chat. Farbro, sorry, Melker. I hope that's how you say it. Bench two, Keane, Timber, Ekitike, Harry Wilson, Richards. Ekitike, I think for sure. Richards for sure. Yeah, those two. Quite simple now that I've read the Richards quote in full. Unfortunately, Anish, thank you for your super chat. You got Rose, Chalaba, Gabriel Dorgu, Saka, Garner, Foden, Cunha, Gordon, Diesel, Holland, Dubravka, Ekitike, Anderson. I probably would have Anderson ahead of Ekitike. That's my personal opinion, but that's that's up to you. I just think Ekitike's minutes might not be perfect. Richards will be a sub. Yeah, you're right. I misread the quote. I misread the quote in terms of how it was quoted. I just thought it suggested that he could be benched, could start. Why am I in my bathrobe? It's cold. It's extremely cold. So yeah, just for a little bit of fun, I just thought why not do a deadline stream in a bathrobe. Reason for starting Krupi, Kluivert's injury. Kudus out for a few weeks. One review tells Twitter that Xavi Simons is. I mean, the difference is Xavi's a bit more expensive, right? And to be honest, is awful. Even like his minutes are just naturally worse than Kudus at best, right? 911, thank you so much for your super chat. Start stack / Gravenberg. Bench order with Virgil van Heck. I think I'd probably just start stack because I just think he's a slight. I mean, they're not really good at DEFCON either of them, but you probably think Leeds could put up a little bit more of a fight, I suppose. It is a case of two okay-ish attacks versus really, really good defenses. Is the audio really bad still? It's literally coming off my PlayStation controller. So I don't know. I don't have an alternative option. For example, this is my default microphone right now. Yeah, it'll have to do. I could put some filters on it. We can just slam a few of those in. We could probably throw a compressor in there. Maybe we're good to go. Yeah, at best, I think this could work, right? In terms of just having a compressor, that might just be the only thing. Hopefully that will just take us through. Will Krupi get above 60 minutes? No guarantees. I think he can play 45 minutes. But you can't really bet against. I mean, like I'm betting anti-Liverpool almost, and then just hoping for the best. Am I rolling this week? Yes, I am. Most certainly, I am. Well, unfortunately, I am. Let's just say that. I think I just kind of have to take a punt with Krupi starting. Is the way that I kind of see it. Like to me, I think 70 minutes of Krupi is kind of where I think okay, if he can get 70 minutes, I'd probably play him over my Arsenal players. Uh, so yeah. There is some sort of like inherent sort of expected value kind of loss and gain, on both sides, right? Um, where if you kind of think about it, you don't really want to be betting again, like betting with Liverpool when you have Arsenal defenders and etc. with the reverse, right? Horrendous game week. Liverpool probably play well in spite of it all. They always do big games. Yeah, I guess we could say that. Have they played many big games this season? To be honest, like outside of let's say just getting one pretty jammy free kick from Sobo. Play Mateus Nunes or Mateus Rogers. Um, I think I'd still play Mateus. Actually, I'd play Rogers. I'd, it's a pretty tough one. I'd still probably play Rogers. Wildcard team this week. We can have a look at that. We can definitely have a look at Discord. Kashif, thank you so much for your chat message. Yeah, haven't been able to really look at many message. You're joined at my league on PL Fantasy. You know it soon. What do you mean by that? Sorry. All All right, chat questions in terms of the private chat. So, I think Archie had a chat message in terms of what to do with his team. I don't think Minte to tab is on the cards there. I think anyone who can do Virgil to Gabriel has probably already done it, but that's an excellent move. Doctor, your team. Let's have a look at that. I don't think you should sell Semenyo this week. I actually think he's fantastic. Your team actually looks really good. I think the only thing I would do that team is just bench Anderson, Sobo, Ekitike. Well, yeah, Anderson, Sobo, Ekitike, and I think you're good to go. Could you play 5-4-1? R's got a question as well. Very similar team to myself, so I think I'd probably just roll that team. Laius's question was what to do with his team. Yeah, I'd also roll that team too. I mean, it's obviously very Liverpool dense. Um, yeah, I don't have too many thoughts on that. Cleve, thank you so much for your super chat. Hey, Fran, thoughts on BVD to Tio? Yeah, I'm down for that move. I mean, I think Newcastle probably just on like going onwards are just better. Game week 21 XG, correct. Completely wrong, isn't it? Why is... Give me a sec, sorry, I'll just quickly fix that. The actual, I think the numbers are correct. It's just the, I need to fix that XG data. Ekitike or Chalobah start. I would probably play Chalobah. Sanchez news. I'm pretty sure the news is that he's still a doubt for the game, right? I can quickly have a look at that. Been a bit of a tough news day because I just haven't been able to see any of the news before I actually jumped on the stream. So I need to quickly just breeze through a summary of the news, which I can actually just do that with the chat here. So I think from what I can understand, Guardiola obviously out and Diaz out long time, but we knew that already. Kluivert actually has knee surgery. That just means Tavernier is amazing. Semenyo with his last game, that I think he's on pens. Kropp Junior, that's probably better minutes for him because he can kind of have positional share the 9 and the 10. Keep in mind though, Enes Minal does play football, so of course that's less sort of positional share of the 9 overall. Sanchez is in training, but you don't know if he's going to start. I think Sanchez probably will start. Murphy is, I think, what was it, unlikely to be available for this game, as far as I understood. Um, but Elanga's definitely out for the game. Minte has a chance, but clearly he's not doing great. Richards won't start, which is suboptimal. Keane's all good. I don't think there was any other news that was really relevant, right? So I think for the person who was actually asking the question about Sanchez, like I probably would just start Sanchez. Like, I mean, are you thinking about Sanchez more so from a wild card perspective? Because I guess that's probably the trickiest thing. Mobia, thank you so much for your super chat. Raya Petrovic, okay, I'd probably play Raya. Senesi Dio or Diaz, or Diaz is out, so I mean you can't play him. So you'll be playing Senesi Tio for sure. You'll be playing not Van de Ven. I think you play Heaven versus Burnley. Although 100% not. I mean, not 100% sure that he starts. Bruno G, Saka, Foden, Sobo, fine. Haaland, Thiago, Raul. You'd play Haaland, Thiago, and Raul just because Raul's home game here. I think you bench Sobo, so that means you're gunning for a 3-4-3. You probably replace Diaz with Gabriel, if I'm being honest, and then you just play Senesi, Gabriel, Tio. That does mean we're benching Heaven. Maybe we play Heaven over Raul, is probably the last thing I'd suggest. You play 4-3-3 in that setup, right? Or rather, sorry, 4-4-2. So I think that works quite well for your team, and probably the one free transfer could make sense, just because Ruben Diaz is out, right, long term. And I'm pretty sure you can go triple Arsenal from there. But let me know if you can't. If you can't go Diaz to Gabriel, we probably just need to roll. The roll being you just play three, four, sorry, 3-4-3, right? And then you play Raul instead. And then you maybe pick up Gabriel the week after that. Mark, thank you so much for your super chat yourself. 2 free transfers. Thank you, Becca, TK, Minte, Vandenberg, to Mane, Enzo, Tarkovsky for -4. I don't really like the -4. I don't think this is a great Enzo game. I kind of think if you can do Minte to Tavernier, that works out quite nicely for you. How desperately do you need Vandenberg to play? Or, for example, my question really in that case is, do you have an auto sub for Vandenberg? Because I guess Mane is just a positional thing where, more of a price thing for yourself, right? So I don't think that's like a huge issue. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. Atrax2555, thank you for your super chat. You've got Semenyo, Ekitike, Alderete, Joaquim Anderson, zero free transfer. Need to start 2 or take a hit. Start Semenyo, he's incredible. I would probably play Alderete just about over Joaquim Anderson. And I think that's a strong team. Like, I would not be worried at all. Maybe you could actually play Anderson over Alderete, but I think the way that I would approach that is I probably play Alderete if I don't have Thiago. And if you do have Thiago, you probably just play Anderson. So say you have Chelsea attackers in your team, I'd probably bench Anderson. If you've got Alderete and you have no Thiago, I'd probably just play Alderete, right? So those are the kind of considerations I think about. I don't think you need a hit at all for that team, especially since Ekitike most likely is going to make it for Burnley at home. Semenyo at home versus Tottenham is also fabulous. Just going to quickly update the let me see if I can update the XG graphics as well. Hopefully they're all good now. Is that better? Perfect. Yeah, that's much better. Sorry about that. All right, back to live chat briefly. The games are outdated. Yep, just fixed them. Selling Minte for Stack to bench Soboslai. I don't think it makes sense really this week. It's not a great lead fixture, to be honest, to be invested into Stack. And I think it's a bit of an overkill to bench Sobo for that. I replied to everyone on... Did I miss your message, Kashif? Sorry about that. Was your message a little bit further above? If you could just ping me again, because I can see your message now. Shall you do Ekitike to Watkins and bench Anderson or roll and play Anderson? I think you can roll, my friend. Honestly, Guehi, I think, is a fantastic auto sub as well. So I think Guehi ahead of Ekitike makes sense. You've got a good team. I would just chill there. Yeah, wouldn't really touch that team at all, actually. Nice looking team. Jonathan, sorry. YouTube tends to shorten your name, so I'm just gonna say Jonathan here. Thank you so much for the super chat. Really do appreciate it. You've dropped from 100K to 609K. I mean, I can share similar thoughts in terms of I've just dropped like a similar percentage. I've had the same sort of percentage term of drop. I had the same percentage drop. What am I even talking about? Yeah, let's just like speak English for a moment. All right. Thank you, Jonathan, once again. In 4 weeks as well. Do you need some advice? Bank 0.4, 2 free transfers. Okay, better spot than I am. Raya, Virgil. Well, I probably want to get Virgil out the team. O'Reilly, Keane. I guess Virgil and O'Reilly do feel like both like bad eggs in the sense that, okay, fine, they have some good fixtures in the horizon, right? Like Virgil is Burnley at home, O'Reilly has some pretty good fixtures, like Wolves included, and there's so many injuries that it seems like it's quite unlikely for someone like Virgil or O'Reilly to lose out on minutes, right? So it's just a case of can we improve the team? I think your kind of spot is a bit tricky because, of course, you've got Minte too, and you've got Ekitike, who might not be super playable this week. I'm assuming you've got Haaland because you haven't mentioned him. I don't tend to recommend for a lot of people this week to actually go out of Ekitike, but I'd probably consider it in your position. Um, I although you could, to be fair, just do. I do wonder if you could do Minte to Tavernier and then Virgil to Gabriel. Is that something you can do? Um, I'm assuming that you can, right? Because that should be 0.4, is it 0.4 for Minte? You can still keep Ekitike. You'd play Keane this week. You'd play O'Reilly. You'd play Gabriel. You'd play Raya. So that's three defenders. You have Cunha, Rice, Foden. Now you've got Tavernier, Ekitike, Lefay. So then you've got a 3-5-2 setup. Is that correct? Hall, you've got a 100% start. I guess Twanzebe is quite an issue as well. But Twanzebe in the future, if you've got enough money to just simply move Twanzebe on to, like, I don't know, good Munson, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. And you don't need necessarily good Munson now because this is not a good Leeds fixture. So I think probably addressing the Minte injury is the priority there. Maybe the one free transfer to Minte makes sense. I'd also go Gabriel if I could. Hinkapie is probably a keep for most managers because the news is super positive for him, especially with Calafiori out up until the end of January. I don't think I can't guarantee Ekitike is starting. That's why he's kind of close towards the back of my bench. What would you do if you had the same team as me, but I had Q instead of Groupie? I mean, I just play Sobo to be fair, and you can almost view him as the last player on my team, right? So I think everyone just shifts one along in terms of the bench. I did miss a super chat tonight, Dara. Sorry about that. Team in Discord, rate my team. Absolutely, we'll have a look at that right now. Thank you so much for sending the super chat though, and apologies for missing it first time round. Can see your team now. How many free transfers you got there? Would be helpful if you just you said two free transfers. I don't really know how much you have money in the bank. You have a TK fair. I would play Krupi in this case. Stack is a reluctant play. Would we? I don't think I would spunk free transfers for this. I think the way that I almost see it with this team is you probably still want to view Cunha as your cash out option for Palmer. Although you still have, I guess you got two free transfers with Ekitike. So you have the option of, for example, something like Ekitike to Thiago, but you do have to recognize that that is a very yo-yo-y type move. So, for example, in the same way that I've gone and you've gone, presumably yourself, from Thiago to Ekitike, and you've paid the price, I guess, and I've paid the price, of course, versus Everton. I do think Ekitike versus Burnley at home could be absolute damage. So, I just think it'd be a little bit better in your position to just roll free transfers. I don't even think there's a specific defensive transfer that I would make this week unless you have a lot of money in the bank, which means that you can suddenly do something like Richards out to, I don't know, a Tarkovsky. But Richards to another 4.5 defender, I don't like. Stack is I don't think it's the worst player in the world, right? Especially when you have a DEFCON defender, a bad fixture doesn't, or a DEFCON midfielder, a bad fixture never ever actually looks that bad. So my kind of thoughts in terms of your team is I think accept that this is going to be a slightly poor game week, but I think you'll probably cook a little bit harder, especially having a TK the week after this. And who knows? Richards coming back soon is going to be beneficial for the team. Having more free transfers is going to be beneficial to address Keane as well, right? So I think just relax for a bit here. This guy as well having his team in the Rate My Teams channel. I can't really even roast that team. That's a pretty good team. I mean, Tavernier and Senesi for this game is quite lucrative. Obviously, if a couple players miss out like Sanchez and Paqueta, that team looks a lot worse. But I don't think you necessarily need to make free transfers in that case. You still have subs, in the worst case scenario. So yeah, I think that's a good team, and I appreciate that, Darren, as well. One free transfer, Kudus. Would you start Goodmanson or transfer in Enzo? I'd probably transfer in Enzo personally. I think this is a pretty good buy point considering that you have to play Goodmanson as a roll sub. Um, hello, Mol Musa. Nice to see you around. Yeah, we can do a wildcard draft actually. I mean, people are asking for it anyways. Let's just have a look here. I mean, probably go Kelleher. I mean, I've actually got a friend of mine from work who's actually on a wild card right now, and I think we just worked through a wild card that's kind of similar to this. Kind of have to drop these players as well. Always got room in the world for an Alderete, but we might upgrade. So let's just start from there. Chalaba, I think we go for Tarkovsky. I think we go for. I think we can relax for now. Um, drop this guy. Drop this guy. May. Oh, we've actually probably got Bruno quotes coming out now, right? Do we have any Bruno quotes? Let me just have a look. AMS as well, dropping me a chat message. I think your team's good to go. I'd consider Kropp over Wilson, but I don't think you need to risk it in your case. I think you're good to go, my friend. And good for rolling as well, more specifically. Um, all right, let's just see if there's any news. Nothing that I can really see, if I'm honest. Kind of hoping for some Bruno Fernandes news, though. Let's see what we can get. Bruno, okay. We don't have Bruno news, right? I'm trying to scroll through. I can't really see any news on it. I don't see news on John. Richards doesn't have a flag because he's gonna play tomorrow. Why not Ekatike first on my bench? I just can't guarantee his minutes will be perfect, to be honest. Thoughts on Gordon captain? Not a huge fan of it, if I'm honest. I still think Leeds are quite good. 5:30 press conference. Okay, fair play. I actually missed that one then. Semenyo definitely is playing this match, so I think he's an easy start for anyone who owns him. Farah's nice to see around. 2 free transfers, 0.7 in the bank. I'd probably just transfer Minte to Tavernier in that case. Even VBD to Gabriel, if you are still able to do that. Who do you think starts as 9 for Newcastle? Probably Waltemad with the short turnaround. Best Diaz replacement? Probably Chelsea, yeah, for the short term. Tarkovsky is obviously great too if you don't have him, right? Um, I would tend to mention Collins, but I think Collins made a bit more sense the week previous when I was kind of recommending him in the chat, just because Brentford do have some pretty bad fixtures coming up. So he's not like when you think about a defender, I think the pro of owning a defender is obviously like you are trying to get a defender to kind of paper over the cracks over bad fixture runs, right? So one good fixture off the run is not so good for Collins, where the buyback point is probably somewhere like gaming 27/28 for Brentford. Whereas obviously for Tarkovsky, I think in the short term, even though he has some mediocre fixtures, his real bad fixtures start in gaming 28, right? So it's more like I actually see maybe owning Tarkovsky and Collins could work quite well in the sense that you can probably rotate the two after 27, although in the short term their fixtures aren't great. 25 to 27 though, I think Tarkovsky's a touch better. Newcastle defense right now also serves their purpose, clearly. Um, yeah. I mean, I don't have any major particular thoughts on any of the other defenders in the game. Like Cash is pretty interesting still. In a few weeks' time, I think I might be buying him. Chalaba is still fantastic, right? Like for example, if you want to just buy a defender now and just guarantee that someone is just going to be good for the next 8 weeks, I think Chalaba is your man. Chalaba is probably the best defender in that case. Bit of a shame with Richards for me. I think in my own team, um, but I'm hoping that just means he's back now. Anyways, he should hopefully play versus Sunderland. Because I think I will be able to utilize him next week. All right. Haven't been able to see any sort of news. Cho, I think, is fantastic too. I kind of see Cho as, I mean, Cho's obviously two really good games down the line, right? So I think if you compare Cho to Chalaba, obviously there's a price point gap. So I think that makes Cho appealing or appetizing. But is he like an essential buy this week? I think he's still good, I guess, if you're priced out of Chalaba, if you want to put it like that. Mark, I can definitely have a look at your team. Thank you so much for the super chat. Let's have a look at that now. Ooh, I like you got Tavernier, Sade, Gordon. Like that's an extremely differential midfield. I mean, I think obviously the only problem point really is Virgil, right, for this week. But is it like, do we keep Virgil almost for Burnley at home and then just suddenly just say let's address Vandenberg? Because if Vandenberg doesn't start fixtures, you kind of don't want to own him, right? Could we go even Tjå from Vandenberg? Is that too absurd? Because I feel like you will be able to roll at least once if you skip Palmer. And I think most people, to be quite honest, will be skipping Palmer. I think from what I can see from a lot of people's teams, if you're happy to skip Palmer because you've got, for example, players like Ekitike, I think that's fine. You know, you've got Virgil as well next week versus Burnley at home. So maybe it's just if you want to improve the team this week, I guess you could go for another Newcastle defender. Otherwise, just I think relax a little bit with the transfers. I don't even mind you playing Virgil so much. You know, get two free because two free transfers next week gives you the flexibility of maybe doing something like downgrade. Yeah, I think the tricky thing is like how do we get to Palmer from this team? It's Foden, right? But then Cunha also stays on the team, which is not ideal. And then we've got Gordon, who could be a cash cow. So yeah, I mean you can reassess for Gordon too, because I guess Gordon could always be a transfer out as well. Kind of hard to just transfer a Newcastle defender out though. So I think either you kind of probably, if you're willing to park Palmer for a few weeks and for example, park the idea of going for Bruno up until 24, I think going for a bit more of a good defender move could work out for your team. Otherwise, just, you know, just chill there. I think is totally fine. Salah, thank you so much for your super chat. Nice to see you, my friend. Gaming21, you got Kelleher, Mateus Nunez, O'Brien, Timber, Rice, Gordon, Wilson, Foden, Cunha, Watkins. By the way, good job on the Watkins transfer last week, and congratulations on that super goal. Richards, Van Heck, Ekatike. I probably would change the bench order around because we just heard that Richards is probably going to be excuse me, sorry, bench. So I'd probably have Ekatike first bench. I don't really have any recommendations, so I think that's a good team. Good luck, my friend. CM7627, bench one, Van de Ven, Guehi, Cash. I think probably just. Okay, so Cash is versus Crystal Palace away versus Guehi. Van de Ven's versus Sunderland. Sorry, no. Brent. Wait, what am I talking about? He's against Bournemouth away. I probably think that I would actually just bench Van de Ven because this is a situation where I think Van de Ven actually has the worst game on paper, and then I think I almost think if you back one of Villa and Palace, you'll probably get away with it, like in terms of the hedge. But if you're not so confident on the hedge, why not back the home team in Guehi and then go Van de Ven and kind of back against, let's say, Bournemouth in this case. Emeraldo, thank you so much for your super chat. One free transfer, 2.6, Virgil, Timber, Keane, Richards, Rodon, Roll, or look, I mean, with most people, you know, I think Virgil out to Gabriel, you know, is always an option. This is a great week to do it. If you don't want to do that because you've got Virgil versus Burnley at home, then roll. You know, that's kind of up to you in terms of, yes, of course, you'll probably lose out in the short term because I think Virgil to Gabriel is kind of a net bad move because you miss out in such a plum game like Burnley at home. But in the long term, I think you'd be happier with Gabriel. So if you're generally comfortable making that move, I think you can just make that move now. Does that kind of make sense? Let me know if that's unclear, but I think that's kind of the way that I would play it. All right, back to live chat. And also let's just finish this wild card. What am I doing here? So would I transfer out Minte for Tavernier? Yeah, I would do Minte for Tavernier for sure. You don't have to transfer VBD out if you already have Gabriel. How do I rate Everton's Garner as the low budget mid? I kind of see him as a yellow tier pick. I think he's quite solid. I think Baltimore's going to start. I think he probably does. Wirtz or Ekitike definitely have to start Wirtz. Just because of minutes, you know. Um, let's see how your wild card's going. I think The wild card looks good. I don't know about. I probably would just go Kelleher over Verbruggen just so I can play Kelleher this week, as opposed to starting off so poorly with the goalkeepers. But other than that, I think the wild card's super solid. Um, Funnily enough, I'm actually going to create a very similar wild card right now. Yeah, I mean, let's just say that we go Rice, we go Enzo, we go Palmer. Depending on the Bruno news, it's like Cunha or Palmer, or Cunha or Bruno, obviously. I don't know if we have Lefay here, but we do have Mane, and we do have, like, we might have Thiago. We'll see. I guess if you go Bruno here, you kind of have to go Mane, don't you? And you probably still want to have Thiago ultimately end of the day. But this is kind of, okay, what have I done here? Oh, right, of course, we don't have Holland. Funny me. Um, okay, so obviously my budget can afford this, but I think most people will still go Turkey, and I think that's fine. There's nothing really wrong with going Turkey here. Like, this is a pretty strong team. You can then obviously upgrade, let's say, I would probably upgrade Kropp Junior to Thiago if you can, right? Just because in a few game weeks' time, we have a pretty high chance of a double game week with Arsenal and Wolves, and so you probably want triple Arsenal in place, and then you probably want to have Mane as well for the double game week. So yeah, I think generally speaking, this is a really solid structure to me, and I would just throw Thiago in if you could afford him. All right, let's just make sure I don't actually make those moves and have a panic wildcard for absolutely no reason. This is the team that I'm fielding, which is obviously infinitely worse, but we do have Liverpool players versus Burnley. So I think, like, if I was to compare my team towards the wildcard teams, like, obviously I'm going to take the L this week, but I could stand to gain a lot from Liverpool players versus Burnley, and that is really the dream. Emerald saying, oh, or Saka, Foden, Roger Stack, Cunha. No, I think those are all good players still. I think I would just roll. What do I think about David Brooks? I mean, he's really solid as a pick. No Bruno G or Gordon. I'm not a huge fan of Gordon. I think Bruno G probably is a touch better, but I kind of see him as holding that sort of Rice-esque position in the draft. Maybe you can have, let's say, Bruno G over Cherky if you want to, but that's up to you. I probably would still go Cherky. Which game week would the double game week be in? Potentially 26. O'Reilly to Tarkovsky, 0.8 in the bank, one free transfer. Yeah, I think that's worth it long term, just because Tarkovsky is a much better def corner. Who would you start, XTK or Anderson of Fulham or Tavernier? I'd do Tavernier for sure. Tavernier is the easiest play there. You think XTK will start? Can't guarantee that. If you had Senesi, would you start him over Anderson? Yeah, 100%. 100%. Start Chalobah or DCL? Probably Chalobah. Who to start over Ekitike? Alderete or Anderson? Um, I think Alderete makes sense. But if you're talking about Elliot Anderson, I'd probably have Elliot Anderson. If it's Anderson from Fulham, I'd go Alderete though. Do you think Sanchez starts? I do think so. I think at the end of the day, you still have the insurance of the 4.0. And if he was in training, like, he's not really going to go poorly as a goalkeeper. Why Krupi over Szoboszlai? Remember what he did against. Yeah, but I just don't really believe that stuff. It's like, if you actually think someone's going to perform the same against the exact same opponents, then, like, there's no need to predict anything in football, really. Start Stacker O'Reilly. I think I'd personally play O'Reilly because it's such a poor game for Stack. If you could get 12/13 ideal players for that wildcard 24, what's your next game week you look towards? You think game week 28 looks enticing? Um, I mean, we really kind of need more information on the fixture landscape, right? To actually be able to justify, like, let's say what the call is. Cherokee a better option now. Bruno G was a better option to bring in 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I don't really disagree with that. I mean, Bruno G's been running pretty hot, but he's been in huge chances like last two matches. You can't discredit that either. I'm just saying, like, if I was a betting man going forwards, would I bet on someone who's on like 0.1x 17 NPXG and, like, I don't know, sub 0.10 XAG or Cherky? Probably Cherky. Why keeping a TK? Because Burnley at home, right? Fran, Tavernier, Enzo. Probably go Enzo if I could, but Tavernier is wonderful, right? And obviously a lot cheaper. -4 Virgil to Reece James. I don't think that makes any sense as a move. Just keep Virgil for Burnley at home and chill. Do I start Foden or Rogers? I would go Foden first. Minte or Potts? I mean, Minte doesn't seem available, so probably just Potts. Hi, Enzo or Wilson? Enzo for me, if you're just starting a player here. Wilson or Ekitike to start? Probably Wilson. Like you can at least guarantee the minutes with Wilson, right? Which I think is the key thing. Start Raul or Elliot Anderson? Definitely Elliot Anderson for me. I mean, it's West Ham. It's a really nice game, and you have that baseline floor, but also that kind of potentially higher ceiling just with the good quality match. Does Lewis Hall start? I think he does, especially with the early substitution from the previous game. I think he has to start again. Triple Crystal Palace for Burnley and Wolves, both at home in games 26 and 27 with Daniel Munoz back. Yeah, I mean that's kind of like what we're looking for, later down the line in terms of like saving some money and some funds, right? Like when I kind of use Ekitike as a cash cow, maybe around game week 24 or 2025 even, like we'll see. It really depends on the forward landscape as well. Like the tricky thing I think in terms of like, okay, it seems so obvious for me, um, to kind of sell someone like, I don't know, Anakatike, but you can't really guarantee that that's going to be a great move because I don't really like Thiago's fixture run in a few game weeks time, right? So in a few weeks time, this is Brentford's fixture run. So once Sunderland at home, I guess, comes to pass, you're basically looking at someone who has Nottingham Forest at home, which is like the only good game, but that's sandwiched right after, sorry, Chelsea away, Aston Villa away, Newcastle away, Arsenal at home. So that run of games, I would never want to really own Thiago over Ekitike for, but I can definitely see the value of moving back into Thiago around game week 27. Does that kind of make sense? I guess similarly with Mateta too, like his minutes look pretty solid, especially if Nketiah is just going to be injured all the time. Excuse me. Start Anderson or Guehi, probably Guehi for me. I'd rather just back a slightly easier home fixture. Surely just play Sobo 90 minutes, Pens over Anderson. I mean, pens can happen randomly, but like clean sheets are also kind of random anyways, right? And then obviously it almost goes down to like a question of floor as well because it's such a bad fixture for both. Like, is it more realistic that Anderson gets DEFCON or Sobo? Like in this case, I almost think I'm playing a bad player. I'd rather have a bad player get 3 points, over 2 points per se, which is I think quite realistic a scenario for Sobo in most cases. So yeah, in that sense, I actually kind of rather play Anderson just for floor. Rice or Lefay, I'd play Rice for sure. Has Vandenberg actually lost his place? I mean, I think he's like first choice, but it's one of those scenarios where I think Brentford are in a good moment and they're playing Ayer, right? So why would he lose his spot? I guess in the meantime, it almost feels like Ayer has to play some pretty bad games for Vandenberg to come back into the team, but I think it can happen quite quickly. My problem is like for people who own Vandenberg, you still can't justify that he starts Sunderland at home, and that's already a problem, especially as the fixture run gets worse. Why not start Ekitike? I'm kind of backing an Arsenal result here as it stands. So even if I want like my subs to come in or players to play, I'd rather just have Anderson or to do something or I don't know. Let's say I kind of am just naturally backing like for Sobo and Ekitike to do poorly. Hinkapie and Sobo out for Teo/Hall and Enzo/Shade. Um, I don't think Hinkapie really needs to go, if I'm honest, especially with the Calafiori news. Sobo, I mean, I'd probably give Sobo Burnley at home, but if you really want to go out of him, like I guess you can go Enzo. Enzo just generally has a really good fixture run now. I think Shade, you've actually missed most of the fixture run. This is a good fixture, but the run is gone. Fran Raja says start two out of Dorgu, Keane, Chalaba. Definitely just Dorgu and Keane and hope for the best, right? Even if Dorgu has a chance of getting benched. Why Anderson instead of Richards? The manager unfortunately confirmed that Richards is not going to start the next match. He just said that Richards is going to come off the bench. So that's unfortunate news. I didn't even know that, but yeah, now Richards is at the back of my bench. Dream Brother says I'm looking for a 4.4 defender. Tavernier price drop will allow for 4.5. Interesting. Well, yeah, I mean, yours is a 4.4, right? So I guess is that kind of what you're alluding to? Um, I mean, Konsa exists, I guess, as a defender. Bruno apparently is going to be on restricted minutes. Is anyone going Bruno now? You got to poll that actually. I guess the problem in that situation is like, do you know if he's going to come off the bench or not? He's basically explicitly said that the minutes will be managed, right? For both Mount and Bruno. But obviously, we know what Bruno is as a player. He's going to want to play as many minutes as possible. Um, yeah, no one's going Bruno. Nice. That's the thing. I'm not so interested in managed minutes versus Burnley and then suddenly, City and Arsenal. That's kind of the thing at the end of the day. Garner, I think, is a solid choice for sure. Do you think you're going Palmer next game week? Yeah, that's kind of what I'm angling for right now. My plan is Bruno after City and Arsenal. Same thing here, game week 24. Here we go, basically. This is kind of what I'm planning for right now, right? So obviously, like, idea-wise, because I'm still quite cash rich, I think it's going to be Cunha for Palmer. Suddenly go really, really cheap on defense. So then suddenly this guy's good Munson, maybe. Or Rodon if he's back. So maybe this is what I'm angling for. Um, do I have Bruno? No. So I've got money in the bank in this case. Uh, then in a few weeks' time, I guess I go out of Sobo to Tavernier, and then Foden becomes Bruno as well. Is kind of like what I'm angling for. Because as I was trying to explain, I think the issue with the run for Brentford, sorry, around 24, 25, 26, is like they don't really have good fixtures until 27. So why should I sell Ekitike until Thiago has much better playable fixtures? Now, obviously, if Ekitike's fitness continues to look awful, like he has terrible fixtures as well. But I guess it's just, is it really worth the free transfer? I don't know. In terms of defense, I also think, okay, this looks like a pretty flimsy defense, but then I still have money in the bank always to upgrade O'Reilly. And then actually, I'm about to jump into a really, really good Richards fixture run, right? Like starting from 24 onwards, this is a really good set of games for a really good Death Corner. I've got Gabriel the whole time, so I can always play practically a 3-5-2 whenever I want. And I think, yeah, like Leeds are sort of underrated where yes, of course the fixture run generally speaking for Leeds is mediocre, but if you can play the player Fulham at home, Everton away, Nottingham Forest at home, that's not a bad fixture run at all, for a defender who's rotating in and out. And the same thing with Anderson too, where I play him versus Leeds away, I play him versus Everton at home, and of course he becomes a lot more playable after this run. So all I really need is to play 3-5-2 for the most of this run, and I'm okay with that. Sorry, is the microphone cooked? Do let me know, of course, because I think it's very likely that it is. As I said, I'm using a console microphone. Doctor, you meant, yeah, I think you should be rolling, my friend, Doctor, 100%. Thanks for your super chat. Suchok, HD, Sobo to Tavernier, Verge to Gabriel. I think that's a really strong set of moves. Sobo doesn't look like a particularly good pick. I mean, like I'm looking forward to get rid of Sobo soon, but it's just with Bournemouth, with like Burnley on the horizon. I'll just give him those games. LT, hey bro, bench two, Ekatike, Enzo, Lefay, Krupi, Dallo. I just bench Enzo. Um, and I'd probably bench Krupi because I think Enzo Lefay plays more minutes and I think he's just a bit more of a stable pick. Like he still has Defcon at the end of the day. Dallo has a really good game, so I would just give Dallo the game. And I can't really see a world where Dallo's bench. So if you have a player playing versus Burnley, like you're chilling, right? When am I planning on wildcarding? I guess a little bit later into the season, but then if I have to wildcard Gaming 24, I'll do that. Did I get Bruno this game week? No, 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 not at all. I mean, I haven't made any moves, but that's just showing me, like, showing my team the future. Future me is kind of what I'm showing. So that would kind of be like, okay, I make two moves in 22, I roll in 23, I make moves on 24. And after that we can reassess. Did I take a minus 12? No, I haven't done that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being in the chat. 400 you guys in the chat. I don't think I've actually had such crazy numbers in the past. So thank you guys all. Please do subscribe. Please do like the stream. It really does help support. So thank you guys so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Bench Rogers or Foden? I bench Rogers personally. Is Anderson way ahead of Ekitike? Not way ahead at all. I think I'm just kind of backing Arsenal results, so that's kind of why I'm, kind of anti-Ekitike, anti-Sobo for this game week. Start Sobo, Ekitike, Virgil van Dijk in what order? Probably Sobo, Ekitike, Virgil van Dijk in that exact order. Um, United back four. I mean, you really can't tell, right? I think it's pretty likely though. Because I think if you kind of read the reporting, it's almost suggesting that the board want United to play four back, and Amram doesn't want to, obviously. Um, so why would they suddenly just play a back three again? I feel like they will play a back four just because. Richards and Anderson to 2 on 3.9 midfielder with no hit. It's not worth it, my friend, because um, Anderson has a good game. Richards can't really be played, so I think I just replace Richards in that case with maybe a cheaper defender. You're not going to benefit that much from going with 3.9 midfielder. It's going to hurt your team long term. Did I skip your question? Was it a super chat? Sorry, or um, I tend to just jump in and just read whatever question I can. I don't intentionally skip questions. Subscribe and leave a like. Thank you so much, Lambie. Do you think Dorgu scores today? I don't even know if he starts personally. I'm pretty sure he will, but you never know. Ewan, Sak, and Gabriel, Rice or Timber's third Arsenal. I think I'd probably go Rice at this point. With Fletcher's quote, would you go with Bruno F instead of Bruno G? On a wild card, I probably would just persist with Bruno F because you kind of want to prevent future wildcards or future transfers into Bruno. But at the same time, if you like, I know you don't have a lot of free transfers, so that's why I'm advising that. For people who have like 3 or 4 free transfers, it's a bit of a different situation. Like you can suddenly still go for Cunha and then move into Bruno because I think restricted minutes Bruno is not good news. Why Ekitike on the bench? Well, I just think I'm not that excited about playing Ekitike this week. Would you use a free transfer to bring Rice instead of Rogers? No, I don't think it's worth a free transfer. Are you saying you have Rogers and you want to replace him? Dream Brother 22 says, honestly, looking at the 4.4 substitutes to sell Van Heck for, maybe it's just Mukiele. I think Alderete is right there too, right? You can save a little bit of money there. Your perhaps start Bruno F or João Pedro. Bruno F, I think. I would just punt Burnley and hope the best with Bruno. Like in reality, I guess Bruno can have managed minutes, but that can still be really good. Weren't you top 10K? What happened? Well, we got a couple red arrows, right? That's what happened. Start Croupier Anderson. I think I play Croupy for sure. Rice could be essential. I mean, he's close to essential. Like in the sense that I think if you were to recommend most FPL teams, it's always going to be some sort of form of triple Arsenal. So, if you're picking your best triple Arsenal, like he's pretty much there, I would say, because I think I would guarantee better Rice minutes than Timber. So if you're saying, Saka, Gabriel are locks, then suddenly I think Rice is a lock too. Bench Dorgu or Timber already starting Gabriel. Um, Man, I think I bench Timber and just hope for the best. But if you're really convinced that Dorgu's not going to start, I guess you can just bench Dorgu. You captain Cunha? I quite like that spider. Nice. Jackson, nice to see you around. 2 or VDB for Senesi. Why do you have to sell Senesi this week? I'd 100% keep Senesi for Tottenham at home. Do you think Waltemont is a hold? I think he's a hold specifically for this game. After that, he's probably a sell. because the minutes are just so poor. Is Saka really a lock though? I'm not saying it's a lock. I'm just saying like if we're just talking about Rice, and the question was like whether you go Rice or Timber basically in the variation. Start Wilson or Van de Ven. Wilson for me. Would you play Alderete over Van Heck and Ayari this game week? No. Yeah, I would. I actually would. Sorry. Is owning both Timber and Gabriel bad? Not at all. Not at all. Totally fine to do that. In what order? A7. Nice to see, so nice to see you around. Heaven, Dorgu, Senesi stack. I think I'd have Heaven, then Senesi, then Dorgu, then stack. What's your predicted United back four this week? Man, I don't really want to talk about something. I just feel like, yeah, I don't want to talk about something where I feel like I don't have much authority on, right? I almost think I'm gonna defer to people who predict lineups for United on like a weekly basis. So if I kind of look at the predicted lineup commentary for United, let's just see if I we can pull that up from Emma at Jump the Wave on Twitter. So it seems like people are predicting Dallo, Martinez, Heaven, Shaw, and Dorgu. Uncertainty on Dorgu though, because some people think Euro will play in the back four, of course, meaning that Shaw plays left back. Um, Double pivot of Casemiro Ugarte. Oh, that's vomit. Most people think Bruno will start. Most people think Mount doesn't start, which makes sense, of course. Like you're just sort of thinking about the history of these players. But yeah, I mean, I think in most cases you probably just play Dorgun and hope for the best, right? Do you think Bruno's a better FPL asset on his current position as a number 10? Well, I know Solio did analysis in terms of Bruno last season and headed up to like a point this season, and they basically kind of identified that Bruno with DEFCON in the game is better as a DM. But I think the only thing that I would counter that is, well, not even counter that, but just kind of like to raise as a point of contention is Bruno, if you look at previous seasons where let's say he's under more, I would say potentially aggressive managers who utilize him in a more aggressive manner. So I'm speaking about Ole specifically. He was someone who was sort of running at something like 0.55 NPXGI or higher as an average. And so if he's able to operate at those levels as a 10, like a true 10, not a left attacking mid 10 in an Amber M343 system, I think he can cook a lot harder than your classic DM. Yeah, Bruno actually has to just get regular sort of ball recoveries. Not I'm entering into a duel and versus someone losing the ball like twice in the duel, but suddenly getting 2 to 3 DEFCON out of the same duel, um, as a one-on-oneer. Best Guardiola replacements. You already have Cho, Gabriel, Mukele Anderson, probably Chalaba maybe. More volatility with Bruno in the 10. I mean, at the same time, like we say that, but it's like most of Bruno's returns this season have really come from like from attacking numbers, right? Like goals and assists. It's not really like, oh my God, we get Bruno for the DEFCON at the end of the day. It's like it's a nice fallback thing that kind of just raises his floor, not like doesn't really touch his ceiling at all. So yeah, like we definitely want Bruno to play at the 10, in my opinion, in a 4-2-3-1. I would not be like suddenly clamoring for Bruno to suddenly drop back a little bit so he can get me some extra DEFCON. Does that make sense? Jack says my back five is Gab, Tark, Anderson, Senesi, Rodon. Would you start three or four of them? Man, I think that's a wonderful defense. Like I would not be fussed at all. Like I think 3 out of 4 are easy starts. Like Gab, Tark, Senesi, incredible. Anderson, a decent auto like sub. In my case, I'm starting him because I've got a worse team presumably. Um, Constitution pictures, Brian the man, good day, sir. I'm going soccer captain, taking. Fair enough, man. I do think Gordon starts though, just based on the news that we have. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of, let's say, Gordon at the same time. Bruno G or Gordon, probably just Bruno G because of minutes. Start Guehi or Chalaba. I think I'd probably start Guehi. I think Crystal Palace have a pretty long-standing good run versus Villa too. If you want to kind of bury some narratives into a pretty close 50-50 for you. By Enzo or Turkey, I would say Enzo just because I think the minutes long term are better. Um, Best long hold midfield except Foden, Saka, Rice, Bruno G. I think Enzo. Who is better, Gaming 24, Tavernier or Enzo? From Gaming 24 onwards, I think I would probably say Tavernier. In the meantime, I think probably Enzo. Best Minty replacement, Enzo or Tavernier. Sub replacements, Enzo Tavernier. For most people in the midfield, like these are the types of players you should be shopping for. Timber or Keane in terms of starting, I would start Keane. Start Potts or Ekitike, probably Ekitike because Potts' minutes aren't perfect. Thoughts on Welbeck with City defense wounded? I mean, man, Welbeck is such a sort of depressing little player. I just think I don't have much faith in him. Bruno Gio Rice, I think Rice. Did I ever consider Rogers? Yes, but ultimately the reason I guess why I pushed into Sub was because I didn't really like Rogers too much, and so here we are with the terrible pick that it's Sobo. But actually, no, I think the key thing within my team is that to get Cunha to Palmer, I could never have really owned Rogers or Gordon. Timber, Kane. I already answered the question. Where'd sell or keep? I think keep in the short term. Just keep him for Burnley at home and then sell him after that. You might as well after you persisted for this point, up until this point at least. Valentin, thank you so much for the super chat. Can't really see a message from that, but thank you so much. If you dropped a message on Discord, I'll check that too. Cunha captain or Bruno Mount back? But then I guess Bruno coming back kind of like takes a little bit of like tapers a little bit of that too, because it's like you take away penalties. I do like the shout though. I just think, it is Holland at the end of the day. And it's not an awful game. Hmm. Fair play. If you're like if it was Burnley at home, I think I would definitely do it. O'Reilly or Mukiele. I do like this. I do like the punt. I mean, obviously, like he's my vice, but I don't know. I tend to like going against Holland Cap, but for the last few games, I've actually felt like they're pretty good Holland games, and I wasn't so high on the opposing picks. Let's say O'Reilly or Mukiele done my transfer. I'm rolling this week, so yeah. Timber, Keen. I'm just gonna put you in timeout though if you're just gonna keep asking the question and not read my answer or even listen. I sold Greki for Tio. Was that a mistake? Um, for this week, I mean, it's not really a mistake. It's kind of a 50-50 game, right? I think this is a really good Greki game too. I think Garner's is a really solid pick. Pep quote says rotations will hit. I don't think Turkey is safe, to be honest, but he is quite safe in a Semenyo-less world, to be honest. Like, he's been a bit lucky. Watkins for Ekitike. I don't really think it's worth a free transfer up until at least you've got Burnley at home. Brighton unbeaten versus City 3 games in a row. True, but like I'm pretty sure Holland has scored in most of those games, right? So it's like, does the end result actually matter? I mean, I'm going to check Holland's record versus Brighton. Yeah, like Holland has literally scored in the last 3 games, which means that my memory is not completely cooked. Um, why did you bench Richards over Anderson? Well, unfortunately, Glasner just basically said that Richards is not going to start. He just said that Richards is going to come off the bench. So here we are benching Richards as well, just like the manager. Watkins for Ekitike. I don't think it's worth the free transfer personally. Who to start, Mukiele or Sobo? I've got Thiago. I would probably go Mukiele if you're backing Arsenal as well. I missed their super chat. I'm sorry, man. Let me have a look at that. Blue Nine G's. Bench Jimenez, O'Reilly, or Saliba. Okay. I think if you have double Arsenal defense, I probably wouldn't bench Saliba. I mean, Jimenez is a nice game here, though. Still. Mm, man, I think I'd probably bench Raul, even though he's at home. I think I'd bench Raul here. Because I kind of think O'Reilly, I mean, it's probably O'Reilly or Raul. I think I'd probably actually just play Saliba, especially if you have another defender like Gabriel. Just back the double Arsenal defense, anyways. I am expecting Kropp Junior to start, but that's a punt, and I know I can be wrong on that. Clack Toter says, I messed up my price rise over the season. My team's worth 97 million. No, you're not cooked. I literally know someone who finished top 100 last season with like less than 100 mil, and like I've got a lot of team value, and you can see how worthless it's been the last few weeks, right? Because sometimes what happens in FPL is there's so many injuries, so suddenly like cheap options look a lot better than the more expensive options, and suddenly like you don't really need to spend a lot of money to have the best team in FPL, for a certain run of games. Um, yeah, I'd probably bench Raul personally, but that really depends on like if you believe in, let's say, the narratives, and they're not really narratives. Like it is a fact that, let's say, Guardiola and Diaz out makes City worse. But if you think like City is tremendously bad, O'Reilly has no value. Like I'd probably bench O'Reilly or Raul in that case. Hello mate, start Mukiele or Guehi. I would start Guehi personally. VDB or Virgil start. VDB for sure. Start one Miley or Mukiele. Definitely Miley in this case, especially with him being at home. Excited to be here. Nice to see you, Canan. Been a while since my job. Let me have time to join the live streams. And that's awesome, brother. Thank you so much for being around, and nice to see you. You're definitely missed. Can you do a wildcard draft? We actually did do a wildcard draft maybe around 30, 40 minutes ago. You can probably scroll back to it. It had Mane in it from Wolves, so you can probably have a look for that. I've got good bench depth. DV8 says, should I risk starting Ekitike? Maybe it's either he starts or is left out the squad. Well, I think the thing is, even if Ekitike starts, I don't think it's a particularly good option. So, for example, if you kind of look at Rob T's news, or not news, but like, sorry, his kind of like point projections in terms of not the point projection, sorry, but I think he tends to share the goal odds for the week, and you can see Ekitike is like literally one of the worst forwards this week in terms of goal odds because the assumption is even if he starts, like it's not a good game at all, right? So I think like the need to, for example, do Ekitike makes not too much sense. Yeah, the deadline's at 6:30, but I won't be able to change the image, so I do apologize for that. Please don't spam in chat, Robin. Start to Anderson, Lefay, Mukele, Krupi. Probably, if that's Elliot Anderson, definitely start him. I quite like Lefay over Mukiele this week, and I think I'd probably play Krupi over uh, the Fulham Anderson, but I think I'd play Elliot Anderson over Krupi. Fran, don't know whether to go Ekitike or Lefay. I would probably go Lefay, uh, as I have it within my own team. Best 4.5 million defender or under. I'd still stay Alderete right now. Because the position's kind of compromised, unfortunately, with Vandenberg, sorry, not starting. Muke to me is kind of similar, anyways, to Alderete. So, those two are options. Richards is not available for this game week, so it's kind of hard to say that like I would suggest him as a pick. But yeah, I'm really hoping Richards is available to start the next match, though. Like I'm actually kind of desperate for it because I don't really want to play O'Reilly versus United away. Like I've got no interest in that. What's my obsession with Krupi this week? I mean, why do I need to have an obsession with him? I mean, I'm literally just playing him versus Tottenham at home. Um, Mukiele or Alderete. Yeah, it's a toss-up, but you also save 0.2s in most cases. Um, Start Tavernier or Chalobah? Probably Tavernier, man. I mean, it's a home game. Krupi will start. I would say there's probably an 80% chance that he starts. I think it's kind of unlikely that he doesn't. I'm happy to actually look at some Bournemouth predicted lineups though as well. Because that, I mean, why not just have a look at them if they're provided by Jump the Wave? I can't seem to really see them this week though. I guess we don't have enough like Bournemouth predictors potentially. Um, but I'd imagine that he's predicted to start, especially with the Clivert injury. Um, Mark Gu over Krupi on wild card. I don't think that's hurting you at all. Honestly, like I don't think Krupi is like some sort of crazy crazy pick in FPL. Unfortunately, Krupi's minutes will never be good this season. I feel like he's still too raw as a player. You can kind of listen to what like anytime Irola talks about Krupi, he basically just explains why he doesn't play him in football, and I completely understand it from a managerial perspective. He basically just says like, you lose the midfield playing Krupi, you lose press when he's the 9, right? So if he plays as the 10, you lose midfield presence. If you play him at the 9, you lose pressing presence. And obviously the counteracting thing to that is Kropp Junior is like an absolutely insane ball striker. So goals, 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 right? Do I think Semenya starts? 100%. There's no way he doesn't. What's the best goalkeeper long term? I mean, I would still say Raya, but to be quite honest, like if we're actually being serious and Raya is kind of like getting on my nerves, I don't know. Probably let's just say Sanchez if he's back. Keller is nice as well. Krupi should play left wing. Are you talking about like if Semenyo's gone? It's kind of weird though because we haven't really seen too many minutes of Krupi on the wings though. Hollywood, thank you so much. Thanks for being around on the streams. Um, did I miss the super chat? Foden cap also went to sell Foden. I think it literally just arrived. I don't like Foden cap at all. I mean, I still just tend to back Haaland anyways over Foden. Like, there's no circumstances where I really choose to go Foden over him. Yeah, I think the time to sell Foden is if we ever see any sort of Foden rotation as soon as Semenyo joins this team, then that's the time to sell, right? Like, let his minutes dictate it. Maybe in Game Week 24 I sell him anyways, though, right? Because if you kind of look at Foden's fixture run, like I just quickly have a look at this in terms of the profile. Like after Wolves at home, Foden is very, very sellable as a player. It just becomes like, is it a case of do you like him or not? Is there a reason Pope is in your cheat sheet? I think he's kind of expensive. But no, there's no particular reason. I'd probably say that Pope is like an orange pick. Keep in mind though, like what makes some of the Newcastle defenders good is like they're not specifically just the clean sheet odds, but kind of like that kind of Arsenal-esque impact that like Timber and Gabriel have in terms of goal threat and DEFCON. And then also, I think the big difference is still like, okay, Pope's baselines in terms of XGC are actually still very close to the rest of the field, uh, compared to, let's say, the way that Raya is like separating himself still. Anderson or Dorgu, I think Dorgu might play right wing. I mean, just play Dorgu then. I mean, that's not even close. I think I'd just go Dorgu. Yeah, sorry, the deadline is not now. It's in 29 minutes. I apologize for not changing that, but yeah, it is in 29 minutes. I won't be delving into politics, but I mean, I don't disagree with that take. I think John on Nottingham, the keeper starts after what happened the weekend. Probably not, to be honest. That was a bit of a. You've always wondered why Emi Martinez doesn't make I mean, to be fair, like he probably should as well. Make the cheat sheet. He always has these weird injuries though. So like I think I have him on the cheat sheet sometimes, and he just gets like this random injury. Marco Bizot plays. I mean, Conte exists at 4.4, so you have that. I don't know. He does feel a touch expensive, and then I'm saying this whilst I own Raya, I guess. So I'm maybe biased. Yeah, he should be on the cheat sheet. I don't think there's, but I will say, like honestly, I think the goalkeeping position in FPL as ever is always like a bit of a minefield in the sense that you kind of just need to catch lucky streaks with goalkeepers, right? Because you're always going to change your wild card probably 2 3 times over the course of the season with the two wild cards that you have. Are you just going to have a run of like 14 games where like this goalkeeper gets like an additional 1 to 2 clean sheets and suddenly he's a lot better than usual? For sure. Saka, Mateus Nunez, and Rogers or Palmer, Enzo Fernandez, and Timber. Probably Palmer, Enzo, and Timber. Love from Nepal. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. Good luck this round to you as well. Best Minte replacement, Stack or Lefay. I mean, probably actually spend a little bit more money. Maybe go Tavernier. Um, you're leaving. Take care, man. See you, Benjamin. Hall or Anderson. This week, I'd definitely play Hall for sure. Anyone who started with Rose is loving life, but how are you supposed to know he's best for? Well, that's kind of the thing with goalkeepers at the end of the day, too. I mean, Rose is actually incredible. Like, he's probably been the best goalkeeper signing in Big Five European leagues. So fair play. What do you think of Wolves, Mani, and Hechan? I mean, like they played West Ham, so let's just see what Wolves does versus a couple good teams, and then we can reassess, right? Especially in anticipation of the double. Umar, like we can definitely have a look at your team as well in Discord. Thank you so much for sending the super chat. Um, okay, so you've got free transfers now. I think yeah, definitely Minte out. Um, a bit tough with Ekitike there as well. Although you do have Calvert-Lewin, which is nice coverage. We probably want to go. Okay, we can't go Gabrielle. We have Vandenberg. Maybe we go Chalobah from Chelsea. Spend some money there. Maybe do Minte to Tavernier. Maybe do Vandenberg to Chalobah. because I think Rodon should be coming back soon. Virgil's really good for next week and a couple of the weeks after that, just generally speaking. Or you can obviously use him as a cash cow, and he can always just be an alternative option. Like Virgil can always become a Crystal Palace defender. I kind of like Chalobah in now because it's a really good Chelsea run. The alternative, I guess, is you can probably just go Tarkowski if you're just like Tarkowski has a flat out better game than Chalobah. So if you want to do that, like you can, I would probably maybe consider Tarkowski actually. Um, Minte to, but what's the alternative here? So I think that's Minte to Tavernier as a suggested move, but I guess you can always go Minte to Enzo and then spend a little bit of money in other positions. Because another thing to think about is like, okay, do you need to almost use Ekitike as a cash cow as well? I'm looking at the team like, is there a way we can play a 3-5-2, 3-4-3-ish almost? Maybe you just go Minte to Tavernier and just chill. Because, okay, a defender move kind of hurts you in the sense that you won't get to Palmer next week. Maybe you don't need to go Palmer. Maybe all you want to do is to own Cunha in game. Sorry, not Cunha, but you own Bruno in game week 24. So maybe actually you've got plenty of free transfers from then till now. You get the Liverpool players for Burnley at home. I'd consider one scenario, which is where you just do Minte out. Second one being Minty and Vandenberg out, just because maybe there's uncertainty with Vandenberg and whether he's actually going to play football. Do you think Vandenberg starts? I personally think he doesn't, but I could be wrong. I guess it's nice you held on to Tavernier all this while. 100%. Congratulations on that. Fran, who to start and bench order? Krupi, DCL, Alderete. Probably Krupi first, then Alderete, then DCL. I'd probably do DCL, then Alderete. I think that order's fine. Thoughts on Minty to Tavernier? I think it's a great move. So is going to Enzo, though. You know? Do you think Vandenberg starts? I don't think so. Start Welbeck or Dorgu? Obviously Dorgu. Start Ekitike or Virgil? Probably Ekitike. Best 4.5 million defender or under. At this point, I'd probably actually say Alderete. Just because he's a bit cheaper than Ugiele. FPL side, what do you think about the managerial sackings of Amber and Maresca? Well, I think Maresca pretty much asked for himself to be sacked, right? So I don't have any thoughts on that because it's not like Chelsea were, I guess, intent on sacking him. As far as Amram, I guess like he could have been sacked a couple times. A bit strange to sack him now. A bit strange to hire him in the first place, but everyone's kind of generally aware of that, of how it doesn't make any sense. Especially when like the irony, I guess, is that Amram has performed decently this season, and in the past, of course, for example, like you could have easily sacked him for what was last season, right? And then the result versus Tottenham. Didn't have to leave after all. Let's go. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Benjamin. When you say Enzo, do you mean? Oh God, yeah, that's true. I actually kind of forgot that there's multiple Enzos in the game. Yeah, I think Enzo Fernandez is a really good buy. You can't decide between Collins or Van de Ven. I think Collins is like far clear of Van de Ven just because of DEFCON alone. Good luck to you as well, Darwin. Um, would you start Miley or Ekitike? Miley for me. Play Gabriel Timber Keen or play Dorgu instead of one. Whoa, that's pretty tough. I actually think I'd probably just bench Dorgu, which is so sad to say. I think the risk of Dorgu being benched just means it's not worth it. Humano 97. Who should I start? One of Anderson, Heaven, Lefay, Anderson. Probably just start Heaven. DCL or Timber? Timber for me. Please play two of Anderson, Richards, Ekitike, Anderson. Just because, like, if the manager says Richards is not going to start, he has no value. Does Krupi start? I personally think he does. I could be wrong, you know? I'll take my chances. I do actually need to post about my FPL team, though, so I'll quickly just do that on Twitter whilst we're at it. I'm actually so sad that I've actually had to bench Anderson, but, like, it is what it is. At least, I mean, or Richards, sorry. At least he's back. Would you play Krupi or Anderson? Personally, I would play Krupi Junior. Did I roll? I will be rolling right now, yeah. Should I stay with my captain Cunha? I don't think Cunha's a bad captain right now. What's my overall score? I think like 1-2-4-0. Why am I playing Anderson over Sobo? Just hoping for the best Arsenal result possible, right? So kind of like backing against any Arsenal or anti-Arsenal returns. Therefore, kind of hoping for Anderson to get DEFCON versus Chelsea. Crypto Rab. Hey, Fran, one free transfer. Excuse me, sorry. Zero in the bank, starting Dubravka, VVD, Gab, Dorgu, Anderson, Saka, Foden, Cunha, Miley, Holland, Thiago. Roll or to offer VVD. Um, who's your, like, do you have any other defenders? I'd probably just play VVD in this week. I just think VVD versus Burnley at home, it probably just counteracts like the free transfer. That's how good I think that fixture is. Who to buy, Rose or Sanchez long term? I think Sanchez still. Hincapié to who? Kind of for you can probably keep Hincapié because it seems like Calipari is actually out until the end of January, so you can probably just continue to have Hincapié starting left back. You've got Dorgu start Heaven or Anderson. Probably Heaven just to back a double defense. Anyways, start one Mukiele or Lacroix. I would go about that by just playing Lacroix. I'd play the home game there. Do you know if Richards is fit, but he's not going to start? Glasner's basically already said that he won't start. Sanchez or Dubravka? Sanchez this week. How likely Reinders plays more now? I don't think it's very likely. I would not go Reinders as my replacement at all. As soon as Semenyo comes into this team, like his minutes also get hurt as well. You got to think about that. You don't understand starting Anderson over TK. I mean, why do you not understand that? It's basically saying that the a player going a player with a with clean sheet odds and DEFCON odds can counteract someone who barely has any sort of goal odds versus Arsenal, and that's pretty much it. Would you have played VDB or Lafay? Lafay for sure, because you don't even know if VDB starts. Am I sure Kropp Junior starts? I'm not sure, but I'm willing to bet on it. As in, like, I would like to have the upside of it. Any idea how Liam? I'm pretty sure Liam's gonna line up pretty similar to how Chelsea have. From what I understand, like the Chelsea and Strasbourg system works in such a way that you kind of just coach all the clubs in a similar way. So I can't expect like gigantic changes, but maybe, the utility of Andre Santos as seen in the City game in the second half could be something that we could see as a bit of a recurrence. As I said, I'm not sure if Kropp Junior starts, but I'm playing him, so you can keep asking the question, but I mean, I can tell you he can definitely get benched. Um, there's no point really asking me the question. It's just I'm willing to sort of bet probably 80% chance that he starts, and therefore I don't really mind backing like against the Liverpool result anyways within my own team, right? Since I'm back in double Arsenal defense anyways, like why would I go specifically to play Ekitike or Sobo? What's my thoughts on Palmer and Rogers and Bruno G midfield? I think that's really strong. Bruno news. Bruno apparently is going to play, but with managed minutes. I think that probably suggests that he could start and get subbed off for Mount. I think that's actually very likely to happen in that exact sort of circumstance. Start Kropp Junior Senesi. I would play Senesi 100%. Should I sub Ekitike with Stack, Senesi or Guehi? I think you could probably bench Ekitike there. Anurag, thank you so much for the super chat, but I can't see your message, so please do drop a message and I'll try to look out for it on the chat as well. Mukiele or Ekitike, I'd probably play probably the Mukiele there. Unless you're like not backing Arsenal defense as hard as myself, then maybe just go Ekitike. Hi Fran, best 4.5 million defender under besides Alderete. I guess it's tricky to suggest to you to double on Sunderland defense. So if you want a little bit of rotation, I think just go for Goodmanson from Leeds and then just actually save some money. Thank you, mate. You are by far the best FPL content creator a response to comments. Thank you so much, my friend. Uh, Thank you for being here. Thank you, Graham, as well. Enzo for Semenyo. Semenyo's actually going to start, my friend, Dino Bro. So I would consider just playing Semenyo here. This is a really good game. Captain Tarkovsky, good luck, my friend. Who to play? Timber O'Reilly. Timber for me first, and then O'Reilly. I think they're both actually really solid this week still, in spite of course, Man City and their defensive weaknesses with the issues and the injuries. Lefay or Timber, I think I'd still play Timber. Best midfielder under 6.1 million. I think at this point it's Tavernier. Krupi, I'm actually looking forward towards him. Yeah. I can't say there's a lot of predicted lineups for Bournemouth, but um, let me see if there's any. I mean, like the only FPL account that I know that like actually supports Bournemouth is FPL Schofield. He hasn't really mentioned anything about Kropp Junior, but I mean, like for the most part of the season, I've gotten Kropp Junior starts right. I'm happy to get it wrong here. It's just with the lack of available options, I kind of think surely he gets to play at least to start this match. Um, Deepak, thank you so much for the super chat. Good luck for this game week. My team is Rose, Gabriel, O'Reilly, spelled as O'Reilly, Dorgu slash Mukiele, Gravenberg, Miley, Cunha, Foden, Saka, and Thiago. Why should I not start Mukiele in for Walterman? Start him. He was well rested. If you've got Walterman, 100% start him, my friend. Yeah. Mm, I think you still have to play Dorgu over Mukiele, though, if that's what you're suggesting. Um, because Mukiele is still, with an away fixture where I think pretty high chance he does concede, if I'm honest. Similar like I think Gravenberg and Mukiele I wouldn't really want to play particularly, but if you had to play them, you can play them, right? Just in the same sense that I don't really want to play Anderson, but I'm playing Anderson because I don't think like Ekitika or Soba have good games either, and I'm kind of backing against a result that's in favor of, let's say, some of the Liverpool players. I'm definitely not FPL full time, not at all. I do a full time job. Would you recommend Watkins? I think he's okay as a pick. I don't think I'd sort of recommend him though, because he's at quite an expensive price point. So I think the value of, let's say, TK was games like Burnley at home, Wolves at home. More often than not, we probably want to sell these types of players for someone who's a lot cheaper. Like I can see 4-5-1 type structures working really, really well in FPL. Equally, I think if you just have Thiago, you have Thiago, or if you just have DCL as your second striker, I think that's probably preferable. Anurag, what about Paqueta? Do you think he plays, and who should I play? Three players out of Tarkovsky, Gabriel, Tuo, and Dorgu. I'd go Tarkovsky, Gabriel, and Dorgu. I think it's kind of tricky because obviously there's a world where Dorgu could get benched, and then at that point you probably would feel bad about it. If you're not confident in Dorgu starts, then I would play Tuo. I personally think Dorgu's likely to start, so I think maybe just go for it. But I could be wrong, right? Let's say that you play back four. Probably Shaw has to play. So, that's a tough one actually. Like Dorgu is so likely to just play right wing though, right? Because it's like he doesn't necessarily need to just play left back. So yeah, I probably bench Shaw, but it's a reluctant one for me. In terms of clean sheet odds, I believe it's Arsenal, Everton like top this week, and then Newcastle United are neck and neck, right? So it's kind of like Dorgu's attacking ability and obviously chance of not starting versus Tua's DEFCON. I probably would take the punt on Dorgu. But yeah, thank you guys so much for the super chats as well recently. Really, really love the support. And thank you guys for being here as well. 450 you guys as well. Please do like, please do subscribe. Really does help support the channel. Who's the best defender of this game of Newcastle for you the next two game weeks? I think it's still Tua at the end of the day because of DEFCON and also like the certainty of starts, right? With Hull, especially with that 60-minute substitution, I think that the concern is going to be like they could prioritize some Champions League games going forward, and that can hurt his minutes in the Premier League too. What do you think about putting a lot of value in defense? I think to be honest, we have really good parity in defense where I would say there's a lot of good 4.5 defenders. Equally, like if you chose to spend like more money in the 5.5s to 6 million type players, I think that's probably going to outvalue in a different way, right? So it's kind of like if you think about different teams, say I don't have O'Reilly and I suddenly just own, I don't know, Goodmanson, and I still think that as long as let's say all these players continue starting, like it's a strong defense, and that's only one strong, like one premium defender. But you can also go for a setup where you're basically going Gabriel plus Tarkovsky plus Collins. And I wouldn't really begrudge that, or Tiaw as well. And suddenly that's a lot more money spent in defense, and that could be really valuable. But end of the day, if you kind of look at the league table in terms of defensive quality, there's a lot more sort of mid-table-ish teams that we've ever had in the past. And I think that outside of Arsenal, there's no team that really looks like stand out in defense. So you kind of just want someone who is a mid-table defense and is a good def conner. And there's plenty of those options that span between, let's say, that 4.5 price point to the 5.0 price point. So do you need to spend more than 5.0? I don't think so, right? Because especially with the City injuries, you don't really need a lot of expensive options in the game. Hold Hinkavia this week. Yeah, I think if you already, let's say, own Gabrielle, I mean, why not? Doesn't seem like Calafiori's gone, or going to come back soon or anytime soon, right? So excuse me, sorry. Did I roll this week? Yes, I did roll this week. All right, I actually need to do a couple of my draft teams because I've actually forgotten to manage a couple of them, unironically. Now that we've got 10 minutes, do apologize for the 2 to 3 minute intermission, but yeah, I'm gonna manage my draft team just very, very quickly. Draft teams, let's say. A couple losses ranked up in a lot of draft teams, but what can you do? They all look fairly good now. Yeah, I can't complain. I actually even have Shaw in one of the teams. I think we're in a decent spot, actually. Probably good to go. Yeah, cool. That's done now. Okay. So thanks, Fran. Thanks, Deepak. Start Stack or Jorginho or Jorginho to Enzo. I think I would just start Stack this week. I think this is not a great Enzo Fernandez game personally. I think it's a great game if you're selling Minte. It's not a great game if you already have someone who's going to play, and therefore it's not really worth necessarily a rotation. Jonah Jones, did you drop a Discord message? Quickly, just gonna have a look at news as well. Doesn't seem like we have any though. Do you think Palace will bounce back from a bad streak? I think it's kind of inevitable when you have fixtures like Burnley and at home and Wolves at home, right? So, for example, like all I'm asking for is can Palace do something over this fixture run here from like 24, right? And I think the my answer has to be yes. Why Krupi? I just think he starts this week, and it's a pretty good fixture. Am I an Arsenal fan? Nope. What's up, bro? Thank you so much, man. Would you start Van de Ven or Alderete? Probably Alderete just because of DEF CON. Morning from New Zealand. Nice to see you, Peter. Would you recommend getting rid of? It's pretty early in the morning there, so hello. Would you recommend getting rid of Foden and Hinkapie for Gabriel and Bruno G/Enzo F? I don't think it's worth it. I think Hinkapie is going to start this game, so I think he's fantastic still. Foden, at the end of the day, is playing a lot of minutes and still has games like Bulls coming up, so I would not really be selling Foden unless we were suddenly dealing with Foden with really kind of intermittent minutes, then we can address that later. But I think up until that point happens, you own Foden until, you know, you have more pressing replacements. So, for example, I think Enzo F or even Bruno F on Game Week 24 is a lot better as a buy option for Foden, right? So give Foden as an example here, Brighton at home, Wolves at home first. Start Ekitike or Guehi, probably Guehi. Start Ekitike or Timber, probably Timber. Like this is a really tough Liverpool game. I mean, if you look at the odds this week in terms of goals, like Ekitike is like one of the worst forwards, like by far in terms of markets, like inclusive of like, you know, like a Burnley forward or a Wolves forward. So it is. not a great game to play Ekitike as it stands. Wilson or Krupi? Probably Wilson, to be honest, because I think his minutes a bit more guaranteed. Would you play Bowen over Krupi? Yeah, of course I'd play Bowen over Krupi, but I don't own Bowen, right? This is an amazing Bowen game. I mean, it's not even close, but in particular, like Bowen's obviously a lot better than Krupi. It's just that Krupi, I think, is better than some of the Liverpool players this week, just for this week. Start Anderson or Dorgu. Probably Dorgu and just punt. Like I think if you have Dorgu, I think reluctantly you just start him in this match and you hope for the best. Is Krupi starting? No guarantees, but I think I'm hoping that he starts. You can see a Sobo pen coming. I mean, I can't. Like it's a pretty low likelihood thing, but if it happens, it happens. Is it necessary to sell Pino this week? I think it probably is. Krupi could be a solid pick even for 30 minutes. I mean, I kind of disagree with that, but yeah, I think it would be lovely if he could play more than 60 minutes for sure. Sohail, thank you so much for the super chat. Hi, mate. Advice. Team is Raya, Gabriel Timber, Heaven, Mukiele, Teo, Turkey Palmer. Man, you must be cooking recently. What a team that is. Wow, you can even bench Lefay. Nice. I think I'd probably play Lefay over Mukiele, though, is the only thing I'd probably say. I think Lefay, yeah, I kind of just think Tottenham aren't a particularly good, sorry, Brentford aren't a particularly good defense away. So, sorry, not away, but I mean, as it stands. And you kind of are saying Brentford, well, Brentford's probably going to break the clean sheet, right? So the clean sheet odds aren't particularly high this week. Sorry for Sunderland. I like my mind is just cooked. With the long haul flights and all. But I think it's more the clean sheet odds are super low for Mukele. Obviously, Lefay benefits from that tangentially, but it's almost like they are quite good at DEFCON, both of them. Clearly, Mukele is a lot better at DEFCON, but I do kind of like how Lefay probably benefits from situations like, doesn't get the -1 from the two goals scored and can still be quite attacking at the end of the day. So I probably would go Lefay marginally, but that's up to you. Anderson or Lefay, I'd probably bench Anderson. If it's Elliot Anderson, I'd probably bench Lefay though. Also, Krupi starting since Morth, Semenya will go. Also start Heaven or Sobo. I'd definitely start Heaven because I think it's pretty likely that Heaven starts just with recent performances. Obviously, he did drop one stinker, I guess, in the previous match, but I think he should be fine. I don't think Kropp Junior starting is actually based on Semenyo. It's actually based on the Kluivert news, right? Kropp Junior so far has been utilized mostly as like a 9 or what you would call a 10 technically. In the Bournemouth system, I guess that 10 drops a little bit more into the midfield, but yeah, that's kind of the role he plays as a really, I think the way that Areola describes it is that he has twin nines in the system. If let's say Kropp Junior is on the pitch, like Kropp Junior is not really a 10. He does not drop into the midfield as much. He is just kind of like a wing, like a striker that kind of floats into free positions. So yeah, I'm kind of hoping for Kropp Junior to do that in this match. Start Wilson or Lefay. I think I'd play Wilson. What was your airline of choice? Um, I mean, to be fair, I did have a direct flight just because it was actually a decent offer that I got from BA. Thoughts on the game tonight? I mean, it's a huge game for West Ham. I actually really hope West Ham wins so that we can do well. Am I wearing a bathrobe? I am. It's so cold here, and you know what? Hotel bathrobes are great sometimes. What can I say? I think I was actually given this bathrobe as a present, though. I can't remember exactly what the occasion was, but yeah. Anderson and Lefay, bench one. What do you think? Um, I think I would play Lefay just about over Joachim Anderson, but I would play Elliot Anderson over Lefay. You wildcarded and went for the back. I think for the back's fine. Keep in mind though, when you're wildcarding though, you kind of want to make sure that you're not really setting up your team like, okay, this has to be a 4-4-2 every week. In theory, like you're saying, this could be a 4-5-1, this could be a 3-5-2, this could be a 5-3-2. But more often than not, it's a 4-4-2 because I have four really good defenders. And I think as long as that's the concept of your wildcard, then that's great. 2 more minutes, guys. Please get your chat messages in. Get your transfers in as well. Don't miss out on that. Um, Franjal, thank you so much for the super chat. Start and bench order Ekatike, Stack, VVD. Yeah, probably. I think that's fine. I think that's a good bench order because I think Stack is a worse fixture, for example, than let's say, like I think Stack is kind of comparable to Sobo, but yeah, I wouldn't begrudge that bench order. Arthur Sudari, thank you so much for your super chat. Hope you had a nice Christmas and New Year. Same to you, my friend, and to everyone else in the chat. Any thoughts about Man United with the new coach? Well, I think they're going to play a back four, right? So basically, what we're asking in the future is like, who's going to benefit from this? Like, is there like so, for example, like Shaw, does he benefit from this? Like in terms of playing more left back, someone like that, for example. But I think the bigger question is like, can Bruno sort of resume his form? Also, I missed the super chat from WVR DVN. Start L for Anderson over TK. I think I'd start both of them over TK, but I'm personally punting against Arsenal defense, so that's why I'm doing that. I don't think necessarily Anderson is a start every time, but you also have to think about like Ekatike's minutes could be quite low because of like whatever this DOMS plus hamstring potential issue is, right? And Slot's comments are a little bit vague. I don't really think Ekatike has good minutes, so that's kind of my thoughts. I would play both personally. I think that's it in terms of super chat. So that's the deadline as well. Thank you guys so much for being here. Um, appreciate it a lot. Thank you guys for the support, and apologies for missing some of the super chats here and there. But thank you guys once again from the bottom of my heart. And yeah, Happy New Year. Happy holidays as well. I'll see you guys very, very shortly for more content, hopefully with the Green Arrow next time around. But yeah, take care and enjoy the football. What do you think about Amarin getting fired? Oh, I mean, to be honest, like he was kind of asking to get fired, but at the same time, the board hired a manager that they knew what he was going to do and yet still were unhappy with what he delivered, if that makes sense, in terms of the formational piece. New manager, I mean, it seems like that there's no permanent manager in sight. So maybe I guess the dream at the end of the season is Glasner. Um, yeah. I mean, I think does he deserve to get fired? I don't know. I mean, I think you can make the case that he probably deserved to get fired a couple times. Performance wise, I think overall they've been pretty good. Like if you want to just kind of like ignore some of the blip results, they've been pretty good this season in terms of underlyings. Does that mean much when they've actually spent a lot of money? And I guess the league is a bit worse than usual and they haven't really taken advantage too much. Hard to say. Like the defense still looks pretty poor under Amram. And I think like on you can say the underlyings are good, and I think I can see that too, but it's more like are there certain matches where you just think are they not playing diabolical football like Everton, you know, I don't even have to mention the cup performances, we don't have to get there, but yeah. The problem I think always with these cases is like what's the plan if you've hired someone and they kind of did what you expected them to do based on everything that they've sort of communicated to the media and presumably indoors like from day one, right? Thanks, MM. Appreciate that. Thank you, Ivan or Ivan as well. They say Ole will take on in the summer. Well, I mean, at this rate, just take Ole in now, right? Because if you actually, if you want to, I'm wearing a bathrobe because I'm freezing. I'm kind of like, this is a very the Big Lebowski coded, stream episode. Um, it's not exactly like beige, but why not? Take care, my friends. I'll see you guys soon. But yeah, that is what I'm wearing. Good luck, us as well. And yeah, I mean, I don't think I'd like to see Palace lose Glasner, but it seems like he's pretty intent on leaving, unfortunately. But yeah, take care, guys. I'll see you guys soon and enjoy the football.